Hi, welcome to Now It's Legal podcast, where we talk to the NCAA D1 athletes, where we break down deals and talk about name, image, likeness. And here we have the Flores Brothers. We're going to start here, and we're going to move our way down. Go ahead.
I'm Michael Flores. I went to high school at All Saints Episcopal. Then I graduated, went to Dartmouth College, graduated in 23, then grad transferred to Old Dominion.
John Paul Flores. I went to high school at Fort Worth All Saints. Did my undergrad at Dartmouth. Played at a few schools, UVA, Louisville, and now I'm at Liberty.
I'm Charlie Flores. I went to high school at Grace Prep, freshman, sophomore year, and then I transferred to Grace Prep. I went to All Saints after that. After that, I went to Columbia University, where I got my undergrad, and grad transferred 6th year at SMU.
I'm Jacob. Yep. Sorry.
Go ahead. I said pony up.
Pony up. I'm Jacob Flores. I'm the oldest, wisest of the brothers here. I went to Grace Prep, and they did too until they All Saints stole them, and then went to Dartmouth, and these boys followed in the Ivy League footsteps. And after Dartmouth, I played pro ball for about 3 years, most of the time in Green Bay in 16 and 17, where we beat the Cowboys that year, as you guys remember. And yeah, now I'm living back in Fort Worth.
Yeah, so we got a Cowboys fan base over here, right? Are you guys all Cowboys fans?
I think we all grew up here, and it's just hard not to be a Cowboys fan.
Got it. Yeah, I'm kind of a Cowboys fan by default. So let's go ahead and say how old you guys are. So how old are you?
I'm Michael. I'm 23.
I'm John Paul. I'm 25.
I'm Charlie. I'm 28.
Jacob, 30.
All right. So my relationship starts really with Big Mike, right? We played high school basketball together when I transferred in from boarding school, which was an absolute trip. And I was able to get to know you a little bit, but we were really playing together. And surprisingly, I played JV basketball. So, so can you, anybody really, if you guys want to feel free to just chime in, if you have anything to say, we're all taking turns here, but it's very much just a conversation with lights and a camera, right? So tell me, Big Mike, about your experience at All Saints and possibly even a little bit of your recruitment.
Okay, so at All Saints, my freshman year, I pretty much knew Jacob and Charlie were already in the Ivy Leagues, and that was Jacob's senior year in college. And at the time, Coach Buddy Stevens was the head coach there, and whenever we went to go see Jacob's football banquet, they'd won the Ivy League championship, hadn't won it in 20 years, but they had broken the streak. And John Paul and I were up there for the banquet, and Coach Stevens just pulled both of us aside. John Paul's got Coach Stevens on his shirt right here. Pulled us aside and said, if you keep your grades up, then you two have an offer to come here to Dartmouth. And so we were very lucky early in the process to sort of get that offer and know that we had something secure. From there, our parents sort of just pushed me and John Paul to go Ivy League exclusive and only look at those schools. Had to keep our grades up, and it was pretty tough, but knew that we had Dartmouth in our back pocket if we wanted to go that way. And so that was sort of my goal all throughout high school. And at All Saints, the academics were pretty tough, but, sort of balance that out with sports. Got to play basketball with Gray.
Yeah.
And then we had some good times, man. We were on JV, but we had a squad.
We were stacked at JV. And not to mention Easton, our 5'6" point guard that was just ripping threes from any place and point at any time, which is great. JP, John Paul, can you tell me a little bit about Coach Beck and kind of the atmosphere that he created and kind of the ways that he pushed you? I mean, I call him the Nick Saban of Texas private school football. So
right on.
Yeah.
I hear you, brother. I would first say that Coach Beck is a great man of God. Everything he preached is about family. Our moniker at All Saints is protect the family. And I think he really lived up to that. The best football teams, or just teams in general that I've been on, have this collective mindset of we're going to do whatever it takes. You know, we're going to be a family. You got your brother's back no matter what goes down. And I think he instills that from spring morning workouts to summer workouts to fall camp. And then all that buildup gets to the season and you get to reap the rewards.
Right. I mean, let's talk about, 14, 15, 16, 17, about the run that All Saints went on. I think the most D1 recruits to come out of All Saints, while also winning an SBC championship, while also having Nick Saban come to visit. I think, and then he came in. Were you?
Yeah,
go ahead.
You also got to put 12 and 13 because we had a pretty stacked team. We went 22-0, won two SBC titles. And Nick Saban actually came. He offered 3 of our players, our quarterback Foster Sawyer, our left tackle at the time Demetrius Knox, and then our running back Daniel Gresham. And he actually came in January to talk to them and stuff like that. And a couple of those players were actually on the basketball team as well. So I was playing basketball as well at the time. So Nick Saban was watching us do layups and shooting drills and stuff like that. I remember one layup where I'm right-handed and I was shooting a left-handed layup. I was just like, you better not miss this or else you might not get an offer from Nick Saban. I don't even think he was watching me, but I made it, by the way.
Never would I ever think I would hear, I need to make a layup to get a Nick Saban offer, but here we are, right?
Yeah.
This is great. This is great. If you want to speak on, your time at All Saints.
Yeah, so I think the real story is, high school has changed, like private schools have changed, I think. It used to be you just went to the public school, maybe you went to private school, and now the best players, I think, are in private schools. I know we grew up going to Grace Prep, which is right down the road in Arlington, and we had a great basketball team. We had number 2 team in the country. We had 11 guys go D1. 2 guys make it to the NBA. Our football team was not that good because all those guys were on the basketball team.
Yeah.
But yeah, after Grace Prep, they got recruited to All Saints, and why would you not recruit three big linemen, right? But I did most of my time at Grace Prep.
Yeah. So you're the older brother, and so you kind of are the one kind of carving that path, right? You guys have your own individual path in schools that you attend, but I'm sure for all your brothers watching you, they're one, they're looking up to you, and 2, they're seeing you find great success, and then ultimately going to the NFL, making it pro, and playing for the Packers, and then beating their favorite team. That's got to be, exponentially like encouraging for each and every one of you to really feel comfortable that I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right thing. Because I'm sure as the season goes on, your body gets tired, you have thoughts, you have certain things that you're like, oh man, not that you want to quit, but that this is difficult and that, I need to keep charging forward. If you guys want to speak on kind of, how your older brother really kind of helped you make that jump, make that decision for you guys.
Yeah, so Jacob had set the standard early in our life of going to the Ivy League and playing sports and sort of packaging academics with football so that we could rise to the level of an Ivy League and not just focus solely on football being our only path out. But, when you combine academics with that, it turns you into a different recruit, and different coaches will look at you differently. They know that you're not going to be a problem in the classroom for them once you get to college. They're not going to be having to check on you to go to class. So that was something that was definitely a big influence. And our mom had a standard for us that it was 95 and above. And, Jacob was very instrumental in that, because if he had probably just set the standard of not reaching that, I don't know if it would have been, if we ourselves would have believed that's something that's achievable. But when you have somebody that does that, it makes everything a reality.
Absolutely. Did you know whenever you were doing your thing, right? Did you were like, man, hey, my brothers are looking at me to set the standard, or were you just like, no, this is the way mom wants it, this is the way mom gets it?
I think it pushes both ways. I think growing up we played flag or football in the backyard. Our sisters, we have a sister who's 2 years older. She was the all-time quarterback. always the youngest
Wait.
and oldest.
Who was the quarterback?
Our sister, she's
Well,
2
that's
years
wild.
old. Yeah, she's a pretty good quarterback as well.
She's got a good
She
arm.
made a
Yeah.
couple D1 athletes.
Yeah, and I mean, it was football, it was basketball, it was, some of these younger brothers got dunked over and they learned real quick. There's videos
pull that
out
clip
there
up.
of,
Pull that clip up, Jamie.
that's right.
This was staged.
Someone got leg wrapped, but it was a setup because there was a phone there. But it's just being competitive, and I think some people are born with it. I'm sure athletes can relate. You either have it or you don't.
Right.
And so it's the same thing in the classroom. Be competitive. On the field, be competitive. Why make a C when you can make a B and A?
Gotcha.
And I'll say I did test my mom a couple of times. So I'm the middle child. Our sister's the oldest, then Jacob, then me, then John Paul, then Michael.
Gotcha.
And I think in third grade I tested my mom because I was like, do I really have to make like 95 and above? And I got a bad grade and I dropped it below that threshold. And I was like trying to push and she made me sit out a basketball game, and it was the worst feeling because you're just on the sideline. You're suited up. You're still supporting your team, but you're on the sideline, and you can't help them out physically by getting buckets or rebounds or anything like that. So from there on out, we knew she was definitely going to keep us to 95 above average. And I think in high school, it's all about just like doing the work. It's not even like you don't have to be brilliant or anything. Just do the work, do your job, kind of thing.
Yeah. So whenever your mom didn't let you play that basketball game, what did your coaches say?
They understood because it's a third grade basketball.
Oh.
At the end of the day, it's third grade. It's third grade at the end of the day, but it teaches you, hey, you need to do what you need to do in order to support the team. And one of the big things for us was family and team. And so whenever you let down the team or the family, you really felt that.
Yeah, did your brothers pick on you for doing that?
I don't remember what their reactions were. They were probably playing.
Glad it's not me.
They were probably playing underneath the basketball stands. the two younger ones would always go away whenever me or Jay or Lissette were playing games. I don't even know which I would be doing.
Playing tackle football.
Getting ready.
Yeah. JP, do you want to speak on?
I think that it started at a young age. We didn't really grow up with much, so we grew up in a 3-bedroom house, and my mom and dad had a room. The only girl is going to get her own room,
Right.
so that leaves the 4 boys
The QB.
in one room. Correct. All 4 boys in one room. So we had 2 bunk beds, and then the older 2 would bring out camping cots. Me and Mike would sleep on them. So I think from a young age, having to work for everything that you got, having to be close with your brothers, an extension of that becomes then your teammates and the people that you're working for or working with. I think that, Jacob did a great job in always bringing along his younger brothers, whether we were going to go play, we would play garbage can basketball because we didn't have a basketball goal. We would go outside, so 2 garbage cans, probably 20 feet from each other, and we would just be kids. And so those were my fondest memories. And then eventually that translates to high school sports, college sports, and eventually the NFL, which is where me and Michael are trying to get right now.
Absolutely. Whenever you said bunk beds, I immediately thought of that Step Brothers scene when Brennan and Dale, and the guy jumps on top of it and it smashes him because you guys are huge. I know we're all sitting down, and I'm thankful that we're sitting down because you guys are towering over me. So honestly, how tall are you guys? Just kind of.
I'm 6'3".
I'm a true 6'4". I'm the tallest.
I'm not saying my height.
I'm 6'3.5". I just got measured the other day, so you can write that down.
We need to measure because at my combine I was 6'3.5", and I'm taller than Charlie. It's not. It's not accurate. It's not.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm definitely not saying my height. So yeah, JV starter right here, kids. But let's talk about we're in a special time right now with the NCAA and the NIL. But what's even more special here is that we have a special age gap going on where you can kind of see what college was like before the NIL, right? And then what it looks like after, while it's already engaged. Can you kind of tell me, what are some pros? What are some cons? What have you seen that's point out to you, that's punctual. Anybody, yeah.
So I would definitely say that with NIL, I think that a big part of it is also the transfer portal. Those two things combined in the past couple of years have really shifted all the power, or a huge majority of it, back to the players. Before our time and when our older brothers were in college, it was sort of the coaches had all the power, and players really didn't reap much unless it was under the table. But it's sort of been brought out to the light in recent years, and I would say that it's a good thing and a bad thing. The good things are that the athletes are sort of getting compensated and their fair share, and sort of they have more options. It's the transfer portal and NIL are giving the athletes more options of what to do with their careers. But the negative is that a bunch of the players sort of see that they think the grass is greener on the other side of going somewhere else, and they're seeing all this money that people are supposedly getting at these other schools, and sometimes the best option is just to stick it out and work hard and earn that spot at the school that you're at right now instead of hitting the portal or being attracted by the NIL money, I would say. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, people who, there's the other side of the argument where, the NIL is bad and all that stuff. I'm like, don't get mad at the NIL. Get mad at the transfer portal. The transfer portal is like free agency on steroids. And then the NIL is just there as the other compartment. But if anybody else wants to speak on what you've seen from the NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah, I'll talk about it because I was the number 3 person in the transfer portal, and this is when I was going kind of get to my 6th year. And first thing I knew about it was, oh, okay, cool. That's cool that other coaches will be able to see that you're in the portal. They can reach out to you. A lot reach out to me, but the bad side, like you were saying, the bad side is that people think it's greener on the other side. And they get in the portal, and they might have a scholarship at their former school. They get in the portal, and John Paul, I think you had the stat of how many people are stuck in the portal, like did not find an opportunity.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's tough to go from Power 5 to Power 5 most of the time. A lot of these kids, especially if you're a younger classman, I would highly recommend, if you don't have game film, you got to stay at your school. You already have a scholarship. They're trying to develop you. It's just sad that sometimes kids are giving up this opportunity to get a degree for this money that's out there in the NIL space. You should stick it out. You should try to make everything work in your hands. And if it doesn't work, then you can hit the portal. But I think a lot of times, these younger kids get into it and they're being swayed by family members or agents or whatnot, and so they end up making a bad decision. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but there's over 1,500 athletes in football in the transfer portal, and there's not that many scholarships in Division I, so a lot of them end up dropping down, which might not be the best for their development in the long run.
Absolutely. I say real life has entered college sports, because at the end of the day, you may have a great opportunity here, but then you're persuaded by money, but may not be the same opportunity. So you really have to, play your cards right. And it's hard to tell, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, hey, make a grown man decision, about money. Because, you see 6 figures, 5 figures, doesn't matter. It's money that you didn't have. Where's the transfer portal around? It was kind of different, right? You had to sit out a year if you wanted to move, or kind of talk about it.
I graduated in 2012, and transfer portal wasn't, you had to sit out a year, and either that or you had to drop down or go to a different division or something. But that's maybe why I chose the Ivy League, because, hey, I could have gone to some of these Louisiana schools, Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Monroe, but the Dartmouth coach came in and had a really good pitch. He's like, hey, I can't put 80,000 people in the stands, but as soon as you graduate, I can put 80,000 in your pocket, because that's the average salary for a Dartmouth grad their first year coming out. And for us, that's that's powerful because our parents didn't make that, and so it's like, hey, why not use my athleticism to leverage that to get a good degree, right? And that's what I would encourage other kids to do is you can go and see their path. They got Ivy League degrees and now they're playing D1 football because they got film out there, right? But it's changed because when I graduated, like Charlie said, 2 years later, the portal started. And so I couldn't transfer. I had 4 years. I didn't play my first year. Played my sophomore, junior, senior year. I should have had another year, but in the Ivy League, they don't give you a fifth year. So you're like, all right, let me go try to make it to the NFL now. So it's just completely different now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're going from, an Ivy League school where, there is less eyes than what you would get from Auburn or Ole Miss. So it's all about, your numbers, your playing time, and what JP said, film. You got to have film to get drafted. Like that's 101. It doesn't matter who you know, your business contacts, your agent. At the end of the day, NFL is a business. Can you kind of speak on your process coming out of an Ivy League school and then entering into the pros, which is everyone here's dream?
Yeah, I think what I always tell kids, because I help train and coach kids now, high school, college, junior high, if you're fast, they'll find you. If you're good, they'll find you, right? No coach has ever said, oh man, John Paul's too fast, we can't play him somewhere, right? Like I always tell my kids, power is mass times acceleration, right? A lot of high school kids focus on the mass and trying to get bigger. They don't work on the speed and acceleration.
Yeah.
When I went to the NFL, everything is fast. Everyone's fast and they're big, right? But that's what helped me get to the NFL. I obviously had good film at Dartmouth. We were able to bring an Ivy League title back for the first time in 20 years.
You were a part of that team?
We were a part of that team, a part of that recruiting class of changing the culture and bringing that back. And then they benefited. They won too after I was there. But yeah, we just had guys that were dedicated. And that helps when you're in a culture like that, whether you're in a family with brothers of people that are holding each other accountable, whether you're on a team of guys that are lifting and going the extra mile, eating right. And that's what I did. In college, I didn't drink a lot. Like I was focused on football. I wasn't, the frat guy. Like those are the sacrifices you have to make if you have the talent to go to the NFL. There's guys that will go to the NFL no matter what. Like Jadeveon Clowney, guys that are just physically. I played with Julius Peppers.
Right,
He was gonna play.
your DK Metcalfs of the world.
Yeah, there's the 1 or 2%. Everybody
Right.
else, you're given a gift, and it's do you develop it?
Right.
Do you waste it? And that was my goal, so that's what I focused on.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and you were a part of the Packers. Are you still pretty close with those guys? It was somewhat of a short stint, but it's you're in the league regardless, and you're making relationships in a league that everybody wants to be a part of. Can you kind of speak on the connections that you have there, teammates?
Yeah, it was a awesome experience. I mean, it was weird being a Cowboys fan and then going up to Green Bay. That was after the Des Bryant catch and stuff like that. But it's one of the best places to play football. I mean, Lambeau Field is the best football stadium in the world, I think. And then I was undrafted. I came in. And all of a sudden, you're teammates with Aaron Rodgers, who you just saw on ESPN. You see Clay Matthews eating a bowl of cereal, and now you got to block him, right? And so you're like, man, this is wild. But I think in the NFL, you're trying to continue developing. They bring in a lot of guys with potential. Yeah. Maybe they're not all super high level, but you want to keep developing. Unfortunately, I hurt my knee, but it was still a great experience, and I'm still connected with a lot of the guys, and we went to the NFC Championship that year. That was the season Aaron said, hey, I think we can run the table. And so we did because he was the leader and he inspired that, right? And then we beat the Cowboys. They were the number 1 seed, Dak and Zeke's rookie year. Did I mention we beat the Cowboys?
He's been wanting to say that this whole pod.
It was cool because there's pictures. They came to the game and they had on Packers stuff, and so I think after playing you root for people, right? So
right.
Corey Lindsley was the center when I was there, and he was ahead of me. Then he went to the Chargers. Well, I want the Chargers to win now.
Right.
People that you play with and they go to different teams, like you're fans of the people. Like Coach McCarthy's now the Cowboys coach. I want him to succeed down here. He was a great players coach, you know what I mean?
Right.
Aaron's at the Jets. Like, I want them to make a run. Like,
Right.
He's a great player. So, stuff like that.
Yeah, can you speak on kind of maybe Aaron Rodgers' locker room presence or a story that you have that you're like, yeah, this kind of pushed me, or maybe it's just a quirk?
I mean, he mentioned running the table right. So I think any organization or leader, when you set the tone like that, people rise to it, and we did, right? So from a leadership perspective, from a football perspective, he was top of the top. Off the field, I think he's gotten a lot of negative press based on, conspiracy theories, and we definitely heard our fair share of those at dinner and stuff like that. That was the year of the election with Trump, and so he would take the O-line to dinner, which was a lot of fun, and we wouldn't talk football. We would just talk
Everything else but
football, and he's super knowledgeable. So I mean, everything he said football wise, you believed him, and then everything else non-football wise, you're conditioned to believe him a little bit. So it was I don't know. I remember driving home from one of those dinners, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's mics in my phone. They're following me. Like, and it was fun. I don't know. Like, and he might be right about all of it. But I guess the stuff they don't report is that, like, he's very generous. So that's not, a cool story to tell, but, like, he buys everyone in the building, the chefs, the cleaning people, the auxiliary staff, every Christmas he buys everyone something. And that's not, on ESPN, it's not the attention-grabbing UFO headlines, but that was before The Bachelor came out, and that I didn't know that he didn't talk with his family.
Oh, what?
And so
that's right.
Yeah. And my little brothers love The Bachelor.
That's on record now.
So I think it was John Paul or Michael, and they're like, hey, go up to him and ask him if he's going to watch The Bachelor.
Bro syndrome.
And we didn't know because we're all tight as brothers.
Sure.
And so you think, like, okay, he's got two brothers, whatever, and one of them's on The Bachelor. He's probably going to have a good story. And I asked him about it. And I'm an undrafted rookie. I went up to him, and then he said at lunch, I'm like, hey, you gonna watch The Bachelor tonight? And he looks at me and just, like, went off. He was just like, I'm not watching, and I thought I was going to get cut as soon as that came. I was like, oh my gosh, I said the wrong thing. But to his credit, he, like, came up and apologized after. He's like, hey, just so you know, it's not public. I don't really talk with my brothers and stuff like that. So it was definitely a story that I retell a lot. But
maybe a little bit less sleep that night.
Yeah. So I blame these guys for being Bachelor fans for that one.
Oh my gosh. So when you're working with eligibility, right? College football is special in this way, right? There's no job that has a cutoff limit, right? You're a real estate agent, you can be a real estate agent for as long as you want. You want to fly airplanes, you get to fly airplanes as long as you want. Sports are very different in that way, where you can have, if you're going Ivy League, 4 years. That's it, right? And sometimes 5 if you're in other universities. What do you take away from, having that timeline and knowing that when my time's up, I got to make the jump, whether I feel like it's time or not, right? So anybody,
Yeah, I can touch on my journey and how that has related to trying to make the jump. I think for me personally, freshman year I got my redshirt year. Sophomore year we won the Ivy League championship, and then that spring was COVID. Gotcha. So we didn't play junior year. We came back senior year, won back-to-back. But I had 2 years of eligibility back, and Jacob had told me how hard the jump was from the Ivy League to the NFL, and that if you can transfer to a Power 5, play there, then you have the chance of getting drafted, more likely to get to your second contract, the big money, right? And so I took the chance. I got in the portal. I went up to UVA. Thankful for the staff there, Coach Tujay, Coach Elliott. Had a great time. Unfortunately, there was a shooting there, and lost a few teammates. Devin Deshawn.
Where was this at?
This was at University of Virginia.
Gotcha.
Devin Deshawn and Lavelle. and decided to move on and went to Louisville, play another year. And I got the year back from UVA, and so now I have a 7th year at Liberty. But being able to play as long as possible, get as much film as possible, just trying to build that resume to get myself prepared to kind of make the jump to the NFL. And I think that some kids, if you're a first rounder, you should go after 3 years. But I think you should prepare your body, prepare your mind as much as possible. Take those times, those years in college to develop as much as you can in order to be the best product, be the best player you can be in the NFL.
Absolutely. So, John Paul, if there is an NFL agent, NFL GM, franchise that's watching this right now, what would you want them to hear? What would you want them to take away as far as either locker room presence, skill, dedication, anything of that nature?
Yeah, I would say I'm first a family guy. And, I think football is one of those sports where you're going to the trenches with your brothers. You have to have, support, honesty, be able to rely on the guy to your left and to your right. And I grew up in that. If you look at Michael, Charlie, Jacob, my whole family, I come from a family of 7, and just being able to trust, build that respect, build that hard work. From a young age, we had a family business. We ran snow cones. We sold snow cones at Texas Motor Speedway, at different concert venues. Being able to put in that hard work with your family translates to the football game. And so if you're an NFL GM or an agent, that's what you're getting out of John Paul Flores, is a hard-working teammate.
Absolutely. If you want to speak on, if there is any NFL agent, GM, anybody a part of the league that is looking at recruiting and drafting what would you want them to get from this?
Yeah, I'm retired now, but just like John Paul said, it's all about what you can bring to the organization. He's able to bring a lot of great characteristics. One, his character is unmatched. He's the highest level of a man. His football IQ, I think that's one of the things that I don't know if people, it's kind of hard to check or whatnot, but his football IQ is insane. Every time I talk to him, he's always talking about, the safeties are shifting and this guy's going to blitz over here because of that. He's able to play that much faster because he knows the game so much. It's like when the great quarterbacks like Rodgers or whatever, he's able to see the safety shift and I'm going to look off the safety and then come back to the slot receiver or whatnot. It's the same way with him and his vision for that. The next thing I'd say is that he's able to play multiple positions. He's played center, he's played guard, he's played tackle, so he's able to play anywhere along the line.
Okay, that's great. How does it feel to really see your brother see all the hard work you put in, but also kind of giving your flowers? Because I'm sure it's.
I mean, it means a whole lot to me. I think as much as we are brothers, we're very competitive. So whether it's golf or football or records or state championships or Ivy League titles, we compete with each other. But at the end of the day, we're family. We love each other. We want to see each other succeed in anything that it is.
Who won in golf yesterday?
Who won in golf yesterday?
There's one loser. He's sitting in the blue over there.
I lost 5 balls, five out of bounds, so I should have lost.
Dude, I'll lose a whole stack of balls. I'm hitting practice balls towards the other half of the 8. But Big Mike, hey, tell me with NFL agents, NFL GMs, prospects, what do you want them to get from this? What are they getting in the locker room? What are they getting on the field? I'm sure they can watch film, but when they're watching this, they're watching you, they're watching body language. Trust me. So go ahead, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, I would definitely say that out of me, you're going to get somebody who's consistent and who's working hard. And throughout my college experience, I've always been one to try to bring the other guys along with me. And through that process of coaching up the younger guys and sharing the knowledge, it's also made me a better player and know what I have to fix and what I have to critique myself on. And just building that trust in myself and that confidence is a huge thing. I would also say that when adversity hits, I definitely push through that, and I'm not one to give up, especially when things aren't going your way during the season. I'm not going to just throw in the bag. I'm going to push through that and do whatever I can to sort of fix my mistakes. But overall, I would say that definitely that aspect of hard work and pushing through adversity is something that I would bring.
Absolutely. So as a honestly a former pro, and you've seen your brothers, taking their next step, and you've kind of already walked that, right? What can you say about these two guys to an NFL agent, to an NFL scout, to recruiters?
I mean, it's hard to judge as a scout, like if a guy's going to work hard or not. I think you have, and that's why the draft process is so thorough, right? I can say firsthand. I mean, I coach them and train them, right? So that's something I didn't have. I didn't have my coach at Green Bay was James Campen. He was a great offensive line coach. I took so many notes. I took all of that, and now I'm giving that to them, right? So I think that's one benefit that they're getting, but they have to do the work, and they're out there. Hey, and they have each other, which I think helps, right? Hey, Mike, we're going to go lift at 6 a.m. this morning, which I don't know what time they lifted, but hey, we're going out to the field. We're going to sprint, which I tell them is the most important thing, right? Hey, we got to be flexible. We got to eat right, stuff like that. That's what I'm seeing them do, because I am giving them what I saw, and now it's up to them to take it or to not take it. And from what I've seen, they're going after it.
Yeah, that's incredible to see. And so you guys are all collectively in on this together and rooting for each other and equally as competitive. But can you tell me who's the hardest on you and your family besides the brothers? Who really is the one that's like, all right, let's get down to business? Anybody?
Oh man.
Probably say our mom. Our mom pushes us. Yeah, she's very hard on us, making sure she's keeping up with us all the time, making sure that we're doing the right things, living the right way, making the right choices. And so we always know that we have her in our backs if we ever face a tough time, that she'll bring some knowledge and wisdom to sort of get through that.
Yeah, I kind of want to add on. I think that the values of family, our parents did a great job in instilling, the key elements of what it takes to be, make the jump to the NFL, be a good player, be a good husband. I think that one thing that I learned from my dad is just impeccable work ethic. My mom was thankful she got to raise all 5 of us. She was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad went out to work. He was an entrepreneur. He had his used car business. He started snow cone business. And whatever needed to be done, no matter what hour it was, he would go out and he would do it. And I think that being able to have a man in the house like that, being able to watch him and grow in that shadow, has made us the reason we are the way we are, right? We're hard workers. Whatever needs to be done, we're going to go do it. And no questions asked for your family.
Absolutely.
I would say about my mom is that she'll tell you like it is. If she sees that you're not living the right way or you're not doing what you need to do or getting it done, she will call you out. And that's just the love she has for you. She's not going to let you just like squander your talents or anything. For me, I had dyslexia. I have dyslexia, and we found out in 5th grade that I got tested and went through that process. And I was at Grace Prep at the time, and they didn't really have the support staff or anything like that to be able to address it because they're a smaller private school. And so my mom took it upon herself to be able to be there to support me. And my reading comprehension is bad. A couple other things are bad, but she was there every night after work or stuff like that to be able to help me get through junior high and then high school. The running joke in our family is that When I graduated from All Saints, she got her second high school diploma. And she did because she was right there with me, pushed me, especially in English, math, and other stuff that's my strong suit. But definitely English was something that she helped drive. But like we said, she's the one who like really driving force of making us better. I think a lot of the fiery spirit you see that we play with is because of her. She inspired us, and she's very competitive. Whether it's like Scrabble, we were playing Scrabble the other day, and
With a dyslexic person?
well, thankfully I can spell, but I can't read as well. I don't read too good. It comes in different shapes and forms. But anyway, so we were playing the other day, and she was like, nope, you can't put we have a rule in the family, you can't put the same word on the board twice to make it tougher and make you expand your vocabulary and other stuff. So she's like, nope, get that off the board. Nope. But she's very competitive. Yeah. And I think that's another great quality we get from her.
Yeah, we give them a hard time, but they like to, brag or like, I don't know.
You guys are competitive.
What's a better word for bragging? Yeah, like peacock. I don't know. But I think a cool moment for both of our parents was when Charlie and I played Columbia versus Dartmouth. We played each other 2 years, and they made these shirts that said "House Divided." So on one half it had the Dartmouth D, and then on the other half it had the Columbia C. And on the back of the shirt it had my number and it had Charlie's number. And building up to the game, they're like, "Hey, which side are y'all gonna sit on? Or who are you going for?" And Mom's like, "We're gonna split half the time over here and half the time over there." And a lot of family came to the game. They flew into New York City. It was some of them hadn't been to the city before, and it was a beautiful day for a game. Luckily, we smashed Columbia that day. So luckily, we won the game that year, and Charlie was playing offense. I wanted to get on defense and get a sack. Bull rush, push, pull, sack, right? But coaches didn't let it happen.
I would throw that down easily.
No. Coaches didn't let it happen. But after the game, it was one of the best moments because the whole family came down with their shirts on. Charlie and I had our jerseys, after a hard-fought game, and my parents were crying. It was a very emotional years of sacrifice of pushing us, raising expectations for the grades, stuff like that. And it was poetic because New York came on, as we're taking pictures on the Columbia Robert Kraft Field with the blue in the back, and it was awesome.
That's incredible. So
is that how you remember it, Charlie?
That's how I remember it. It was a great day. And freshman year, I actually got the opportunity to start that game. I started the Penn game before, but just being able to play against my brother the other side, it's like I really want to win to beat him, but like worst case scenario, my brother gets a win, and they had a good year that year.
At the end of the day,
we did not.
And we did the year after too. We did it the year after. It's on YouTube. So. The highlights.
Run it. Yeah. I think it's incredible to see you guys' brotherhood, but I think it's even more of a feat that all the brothers got to play D1 ball, and everybody got to participate in their dream. And there's no telling what the future holds. I'm sure growing up as a kid, you couldn't even imagine playing with Aaron Rodgers. I don't even know what that would be like. So, and when I think of family, I think of faith. I'm a man of God. I'm a servant of Christ. I think that's the main reason for my success in the sports world and on this podcast is the faith that I have and kind of what I've surrounded myself with. Any of you guys speak on how faith has played a role in this journey, because there's highs and lows, as we all know.
Yeah, I could talk about it. So when I was choosing a college, there's a lot of different Ivy Leagues you could go to. I was still pondering, should I go, bigger D1? JP had obviously set the path forth to go to Ivy League, and I had been praying about it a lot, and I went on my official visit, and they were showing me around, and then we finally got onto campus. We're walking through the gates of New York, and it's pretty beautiful setup because you have Low Library on the right, and then you have Butler Library on the left, and it's just a beautiful quad. And I walk through, and I see that, and I just feel like God's saying, this is where you need to be. This is where you need to spend the next 4 years of your life. And so right there, I was like, yep, where do I sign? Like, I'm all in. And that's because of God. God's been able to lead us the right place. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, like Charlie said, praying when you're about to make a big decision in your life has been huge. I know that when I went up to Dartmouth with John Paul and visited him, that it's sort of just a feeling that you get. I got the same thing at Old Dominion, and the brothers got some other stories. But when Jacob first visited Dartmouth, that was one of the things that stood out, is that the coaches went out of their way to find us that church community, when they could have been doing other stuff, but they knew how important it was to us that we came from a family of faith, and to get that aspect on the trip and see what it would be like at those colleges that we went to go to church and sort of see the community as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of talk about faith and actual football and implementing it. So my sophomore year,
In high school?
my sophomore year in college at Dartmouth, we're actually playing Columbia. And I always go out and pray the first half, right? You run out the tunnel, you go to the end zone, and you pray. And, we come out the second half, and I just get this urge from the Holy Spirit to go and pray. And so I run to the end zone, I pray. It comes late in the game, it's fourth quarter. We're up. I don't know why I'm in, but we're up by like 28. I'm still in there. I'm on the backside of a play, and a D lineman gets thrown in my knee. And I hear a crack and a crunch, and I'm just laying on the floor. And this was 2 years after Jacob had hurt his knee and his career had ended because of it. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, please do not let it be, my ACL or anything like that. And so we go to the medical tent, and to this day, it kind of still gives me goosebumps. They take the pants off, and then they look at the brace, and the brace had snapped.
Whoa.
And my knee was completely fine. And to this day, I still believe if I hadn't prayed, if I didn't have the faith, then my football career would be 100% over.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So you felt the urge to pray before the game, and when the fourth quarter came, you had like an instance of like, oh my goodness, I'm glad I took that step. Maybe that's exactly what I need. Maybe a reminder as well that none of this is forever. Everything is temporary here. We all leave at some time, and we all have to leave things that we love, the sport that we love. We have to find other passions and things like that. So I think that's really huge.
Yeah, I think I saw it in the NFL up close and personal. I mean, I think one of our family verses is in Matthew when they talk about to whom much is given, much is expected. We've been given the talent of moving and blocking people, right? And it's up to us to develop that. There's some people in that parable Jesus talks about, they're given different amounts of talents. One guy's given 10, one guy's given 5, one guy's given 1. The guy with 1 did nothing with it. He didn't develop it. The other 2 guys developed it and gave it back to God. So I think that's kind of how we look at that. And same thing in John, it talks about abiding in God, that he's the vine and we're the branches, right? Apart from the vine, we can't do anything, right? But what I saw in the NFL is guys played 3 years, 4 years, 10 years maybe, and they weren't happy or satisfied. They always wanted to play 11. Like Tom Brady, how many Super Bowls does he have? 7?
Yeah.
You know which Super Bowls he thinks about?
8 and 9.
The 3.
The
he
two
lost.
that he lost.
When Gazelle gave it back.
Yeah.
The 4 he lost.
No, he thinks, I mean, if you get 3 Pro Bowls, you want 4.
Right.
If someone has this type of car, you want it, or this type, and so you're always like wanting more. And you can, those guys had, or a lot of my teammates had a lot of stuff, but it doesn't equate to happiness, right? I think it's that abiding in the Lord, and you go through seasons in life, but that's what I think brings true happiness.
Absolutely, and with the season, there's highs and lows, and so you kind of, I say the season goes like this, and people expect the players and staff to stay like this, which is really, fans or people who are in D1 sports, they don't even hold themselves to that standard, right? Because they want you guys to be consistent in the same person every single day and every single game, but the people who are saying that are the same people who are not that, who are not consistent every day, because life gets in the way. Mm-hmm. But if you could speak on, growing up in a household that moves the ball in a way that, is very collective, right? Because there's families out here that are not as close as you are, and it's a little bit of a divided house, no matter how you look at it. Can you kind of speak on the relationship with mom and dad, and do you guys text them before the game? What happens?
Yeah. You want to go? You want me to go?
You can go.
Okay. I want to go back to what you were talking about, faith, because one of the things my parents did really well is that every night, without fail, we'd all come together. No matter if you had still homework or anything, we'd come together in the similar setup like this, the living room, and we'd say Hail Mary and the Our Father. And so we got in the right mindset, and then we'd go around the room, say what we're thankful for, to remind us of all the blessings that we've had and we currently have, and then to say what we're praying for, and stuff like that. And just to put that mindset and make sure that we're close, when we're able to talk about our day. Hey, this happened today, we talk about our highs or our lows, just something so that we're able to talk and bond and say, oh, that person's, might be going through something. Maybe I should say a prayer for them or something like that. Just to be able to build that was very impactful, because most families don't have that. But another thing that they did was that basically every week we'd call it the hot chair, but we'd go to our parents' room and they had 2 chairs, and then there'd be 1 chair for one of us. And at first, when they started implementing it, it was kind of like, all right, what have you been doing lately or whatever? But then I started, because you naturally crave that time with your parents and to see the wisdom that they give you, or life wisdom and stuff like that. So those times, just being able to spend time with your parents, because there's 5 of us, and so it's not, they're in the zone defense. It's not one-on-one all the time kind of thing. They're like, all right, go get those kids. I'll go get these kids and we'll wrangle them up. And, but I think that was another really cool thing that our parents did, was have that one-on-one time with us in that hot seat, or we'd go out to have, when we were growing up, and we were playing parties. We'd go to Party City. After Party City, we'd go to Marble Slab, which was next door, and we'd just talk about what we were dreaming, or what we wanted to do, or what was going on, and it was just a really cool thing to implement, because we had that time with our parents, and
That's incredible.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say, to piggyback off of that having those nightly conversations with our parents, at least for, I think, the younger 2, for John Paul and I, being able to have those adult conversations and hear what our older siblings and our parents were talking about. We were sort of thrown into that world at a young age, and sort of realized that sort of our decisions were going to impact everything when we got older. And so I think that aspect of it was crucial. And then also, we were always close because we also worked in our family business of concessions and snow cones, and just, I really go back and look at all those little moments that we had growing up.
Yep.
And we had some highs and lows. We argued a lot about work, but we also celebrated whenever we'd worked hard at a baseball game or a concert, and we did really well. And so I think that we remember those moments more than the lows, is the highs that we had together.
Absolutely. I think just to kind of pull it back to my journey, I think that, people ask me all the time, why are you still playing? Why are you you're 25, you're playing 7th year in college football. What's it all about? And I think for me, growing up, football and sports always meant family. Whenever we were at a sporting event for the older siblings, we would all be there, right? Some of my best memories growing up in the family, my favorite day growing up was Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving meant faith, family, and football. You go to church in the morning, you come home, make the turkey and the sides and stuff. You would go play. We actually grew up right across the street from a junior high. So we'd go play 2-on-2 football, and sister would be the QB, correct.
The Turkey Bowl.
The Turkey Bowl. We would come back, have lunch, and then at 3:30 the Cowboys would play. And then I don't know if you remember, but it's going to come back, but Texas used to play Texas A&M.
Yep.
And that was the night game, and it was just perfect. You know, we had great food, we had faith, we had family, we had football. And so to this day, you know, still being able to play football, still being able to bring the family together and have those memories is why I'm still playing and why I want to play as long as possible.
Absolutely. Now, I saw a guy who just came out of the minor leagues who's 28. He's starting his college eligibility. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah.
He's going to Arkansas.
He's going to
Receiver.
Arkansas. He's 28 and starting his first year of eligibility. That's insane. And I think UNT's quarterback a couple years ago, I think he was like 30-something because he did the same thing with the minor leagues. Which I just, I couldn't even imagine being a freshman 28 years old.
It's now fun. I'm sure Charlie would echo this, but going to their games now because it was reversed, right? Like they'd come to all our games growing up, and now we're getting to go to their games. And I have a 3-year-old that loves football, and so taking him on trips, and his mom and sisters don't go. It's just me and him, and we get to spend time with our parents and Charlie and his wife, and some of these trips get crazy. Like sometimes John Paul last 2 seasons ago, they played at Syracuse on Friday night, and then Mike played in Connecticut on Saturday, and we're like, let's do it. Let's fly into Syracuse, go to the night game in that big dome or whatever, and it was a great experience. And then we're driving through the night, waking up the next morning, making it to Mike's game, and so it's a lot of logistics, but the games are a lot of fun now, going to these different stadiums and being a part of college football, making memories.
When you see, you know, your family really pulling together and like traveling and like, you know, they're tired, they're exhausted, you know, not that they have better things to do, but their time could be dedicated elsewhere and they choose to put you as a priority. How does that make you feel?
That's really my driving motivation of still playing, is still knowing that I think that people say, like, why do you do this? Why do you play football? And I think family is thrown around a lot. And, you know, in some cases, it's not really why people do it. But as you can see for us, it's really what drives us and keeps us going whenever I don't want to get up early in the morning to go lift or go practice on those days that's really hot. And fall camp, I know that we got people relying on us, so we got our family who's always been there, always supported us, and just to be able to make them proud and to show them that all the things that they've sacrificed for us, we're going to meet that standard and do enough to pay them back eventually.
Okay, so I was looking over your social media because I stalked each and every one of your guys' social media. Wow, go figure. And I found Russell Wilson, like, holding somebody. Is that yours?
That's our very athletic 3-year-old.
Yeah. And he's been blessed by the Russell Wilson.
That's right.
Broncos Nation.
I don't know if you want that anymore.
We don't claim them anymore.
That's right. Russell's
Let's
dad.
ride.
Yeah, he was the commencement speaker at John Paul's graduation, and we got to meet him afterwards. Not super nice guy, not very big, very small in stature. His dad was like a legend at Dartmouth football, like one of the best receivers to come through Dartmouth.
Really?
Yeah, and Dartmouth somehow fumbled the bag. They should have got him as our quarterback.
Man, the recruitment.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have to rely on the Flores Brothers to bring it back to its glory.
Yeah,
you guys
right
are going to get snagged right back to Dartmouth to enter the recruiting office. I'm having a feeling.
I like it.
So tell me about somebody here played with Johnny Manziel. I got to hear about it.
Yeah, Johnny, I get asked that story a lot. We played in something called the Spring League. Do you remember the Spring League?
Yes.
Okay, what do you remember about the Spring League?
Oh boy.
I'll tell you.
You want a play breakdown?
No, I mean,
I'm gonna let you do. I didn't get to live it.
Yeah, it was a good concept. Like they're trying to get spring football going, and this is.
It was televised.
Yeah, and It was before the XFL, before the AAF, which I played into. But Johnny was like the headliner for the Spring League.
Go figure.
And in the NFL, there's a lot of guys that get cut, injured. They're just waiting on a call from an agent, and you're trying to get them filmed. So Spring League comes along and says, hey, we'll rent a couple fields in Austin. We'll put all these guys up at a hotel. We'll, helmets, pads, whatever, get a couple teams here. And we had a lot of guys that went on, got the film, and made it out of the Spring League.
Dang.
I ended up going to Buffalo after that, which was helpful. Like I wouldn't have got it without the Spring League. But my quarterback, the quarterback on our team, I was the center. Johnny Manziel was the quarterback, and I'm pretty sure he did not at that point he was already checked out. This was like 3 years after, maybe 2 years after the NFL. He was an example of someone that had all the talent in the world and didn't develop it, right?
Damn.
So like we were talking about earlier, like just a gifted athlete and no developing. Whereas guys like Aaron and Josh Allen, those were JUCO guys. They always had a chip on their shoulder. They didn't get any of the big SEC offers like Johnny did, right? And so Johnny, had a great staff around him. As I don't know if y'all saw the documentary, Cliff Kingsbury was the offensive coordinator. He had Mike Evans. His O-line basically all went to the NFL. He was surrounded by a good cast, but he thought it was him, and he just never sacrificed to live up to his potential. And in the Spring League, he was really checked out at that point. He was like smoking cigarettes in the locker room, and just like they were paying him to be there and like put his name to it. But he threw a lot of picks in the Spring League, and you're just like, yeah, I don't see a comeback happening here.
So he was pretty checked out, smoking cigs in the locker room, and then at this point you're like, okay, I'm on a different grind mode. Like I'm trying to make it out. Like again, I'm trying to get back into the league. When you have guys like that who are checked out and stuff like that, how do you kind of stay in your own zone and kind of lock in on a guy who's chain smoking cigs a lot?
Yeah, I think it's a tragedy. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad to see it. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about Johnny. He's a nice guy in person. He wasn't a jerk to the lineman or anything, but he just made it about himself. And quarterbacks have to be the leaders, like I was talking about with Aaron and Josh Allen and people like that. And every day you go to practice, you have to have a chip on your shoulder. I'm going to get better at my kick step, or I'm going to get better at my handoff or play action. And he wasn't doing that. Aaron, on the other hand, every single day at practice, he had two things he was working on. I'm working on my slant. I'm working on my eyes or whatever. And over time, you slowly get better when you practice like that. Hey, I'm specifically going to get better at this. Because if not, practice just becomes dull, you don't get better, and and you waste your talent, which was what I saw.
Yeah. I think it's important to be intentional with how you train and how you dedicate your time. It's like time management earlier on, and dedication really can show you like, hey, you're like, I can't go out and drink like I want to, like all my buddies. And I think I say this pretty much on every podcast. If you want regular results, do regular things. If you want exponential, amazing results, do exponential and amazing things. Be very punctual. I saw in the Johnny Manziel documentary, bro had 0 minutes logged for film watch for the NFL, which is crazy. Like in college, you're playing with a bunch of teenagers and some people in like 25ish. But in the NFL, like you're in a whole other beast. You know, you got people 15-year vets, 10-year vets. Can you kind of speak on how important breakdown of film is and, you know, the dedication towards that? Because I feel like some guys, they lift a lot and then they're relying on like pure athleticism and talent. But when you get to the league, like you said, everybody's fast. Everybody is like gifted in some way, shape, or form. And so it's like whenever that's failed, you know, when does that work ethic come into place? Anybody?
Yeah, I can kind of talk about it. I think that's one of the main differences between high school football and college football is just the amount of film you watch, right? In high school, you're just out there and you might have seen them play for maybe 30 minutes. You pulled it up on Huddle, whatever. Now in college, you have, you know, meetings on meetings, and then you work all week on the stuff you see on film. And then the night before the game, you watch another, you know, breakdown that the coach has had for you. And then after you watch the film that you just played. So everything at the college level and at the pro level is on film. How you walk out to practice, how, you know, you take your steps for warm up, all this stuff. And you're going to watch every single clip from practice. So, you know, you have a little bit more time in college, and you know, in the pros, that's all you're doing is football. So you're breaking down yourself and you're breaking down the opponent as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely say that film is a huge aspect of it, and not just going to the film room and just playing the clips, but focusing on your guy, who you're going to go against, different formations. You have to be intentional with what you go into the film room and the objectives that you have, and your coaches will help you as well. The GAs have cut-ups on cut-ups on cut-ups, and anything that you need, any formations, any stunts that they're going to run. Third down specifically, they have that. And on the flip side of the Johnny Manziel thing, I'll say that when we played Princeton in 21, I remember after the game, we blew them out. They were undefeated.
Who was on Princeton?
Princeton had they had some DB that went to the NFL. They were just a really talented group. They had some linemen that ended up transferring Power 5, but they were stacked. And after that win, I remember Coach Stevens coming up to us and saying that was the week that we had the most minutes logged in film. And so it directly translates from the film room onto the game field.
That's rock star right there. It's like proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be able to coach or take coaching. So, like, if I'm telling you, hey, you missed your step there, or put your hand here next time, and you continue to do the same thing and don't listen to the coaches, who's that on? That's not on the coaches, that's on you.
Yeah.
And that's something you're going to get a higher level of coaching in college, in the NFL. But can you take the coaching? Can you translate it? In the NFL, we always said when someone stopped getting coached, they were about to get cut. Because the coach, there's no point in wasting time on your film reps because you weren't listening. I mean, you don't want to improve, right?
Right.
So if you can't keep improving, have that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
you know.
That's huge. Whenever you were saying that, like the first word I thought was like Deion Sanders in Colorado. Because what he did is he went through a first season with Colorado and then college staff. And I know they just bring in a lot of NFL guys as part of the staff. And he's like actually telling players, yeah, you probably need to hit the portal, right? And that's tough to hear, you know, tough coaching. And it's like, can you take it? And like, obviously, I'm not going to back somebody who like screams and yells at their players. But honestly, if my coach doesn't have a little bit of passion, a little bit of like something in their voice, you know, I'm not going to buy in as much, right? There's a Nick Saban story where his assistant, head coach assistant, where the way to make Nick Saban happy was to get angrier than him, like get more amped than him. Like, why did you miss that effing play? And if like you were like quiet, he would get mad at you for not like being equally as angry about it. So they'd be like, yeah, like I can't believe that. Like, cut it right now, you know? So I'm sure you guys, you know, with different coaches that you've had, I'm sure all of them have had passion and all of them have probably said some crazy things, but I'm sure it registered at that point because of how punctual and how fast paced, you know, college ball moves. And I'm going to transition. is there anybody, that you played with that has made it to the next level? Are you talking to current pros right now to kind of, just create a synergy? If they have questions, they're like, hey man, reach out. We were playing together in college, but I'm here for you. Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys I just played with at Louisville, are actually in their training camp right now, and having best friends in the league is a great resource, and then having an older brother that played in the league is a great resource. And luckily at Dartmouth, we had a few guys, mostly on the offense and defensive line, that made the jump to the NFL. Matt Caskey and Nico Lalos, and just being able to play with those guys, play against them, learn from them. That you can make it, and that anything you need, they'll happily give it to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Like with the transfer portal, there's such a turnover of roster now. And, like you may be buddies one season, but now dude goes from Dartmouth to wherever, Alabama or Ole Miss or Texas or TCU or SMU, doesn't matter. Everything's kind of, you're able to really get a whole new understanding of, okay, he played on the West Coast, and now he's in New York, right? Or he's in Florida now, and he's getting out of his hometown. What just kind of the movement in football, because at any point in time, you need to be able to be like, yep, I need to take the opportunity that's in front of me. And then there's some opportunity that's like, hey, I need to stay home, I need to stay where I'm at. But obviously when the opportunity presents itself, how does the movement in college football and the transfer portal, kind of prepare you, to be agile and be able to move quickly and make decisions?
Yeah, I think that just the way that things have gone with the portal nowadays, it's sort of turned into free agency every time that the portal opens, and guys will hop in, and sort of it messes with the team chemistry. I will say that you have to sort of build a team. You got to be quicker. The coaches nowadays, because of the portal, they're recruiting every day, year-round. And they were doing that before, but now it's you got to recruit other guys, and you also have to recruit the guys on your own team to stay.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So
Wow.
it's sort of you got double duty there. But I'll say that I do think that the portal, it does teach you to sort of, you have to have that culture built so that when you bring in new guys, you're sort of not just, the culture doesn't go by the wayside, that you have an established room built there. For us, the O-line room has to be strong so that when we bring guys in, we're teaching them the right stuff and they're getting the resources that they need to be successful.
Absolutely. So we're going to go around. You can start here, you can start there, doesn't matter. I got to know, what's one of your favorite places to play in college? Not your home. We know home is where the heart is. But when you're playing the opponent at an away game, what's some of your favorite stadiums you've been at?
So last year we played at Virginia Tech on ACC Network to open the season, and it was just a culture shock coming from the Ivy Leagues where there's only like 1,000, maybe 2,000 people in the stands, and then we roll up to Virginia Tech, and there's the whole parking lot's filled with people tailgating, and I'm just sitting there looking at my teammates like, what are we about to walk into here? What did we get ourselves into? But the whole experience was just unbelievable, being able to make that trip. And then they've got 60,000 in the stands. Like y'all said earlier, they're out there an hour and a half. You're warming up, and the stadium's already filled.
Yeah.
And then you get out there ready to run out of the tunnel, and you hear Enter Sandman play. And the place is rocking.
Yeah.
Like the stadium is actually like
Shaking.
it might like fall apart. Like the energy is just insane. So that was definitely something that I'll never forget, and was an unbelievable experience.
Heck yeah. That's sweet.
Yeah, I would say one of the coolest games or the places that I've played would have to be my sophomore year. We played Princeton Yankee Stadium, and it was part of the 150th anniversary of college football, and Princeton played in the first college football game, and it was a huge game. We were both 7-0. They were 10-0 the year before, and we were 9-1, and the only team we lost to. And funny enough, we were going to get College game day, but that was the year that LSU played Alabama. That was the week, and Joe Burrow and that team versus Tua and Alabama's team. And we ran for 250 all over Princeton, won the league title. But being in that huge stadium, being on ESPN,
as well.
Exactly. You just couldn't beat it for a high level game like that.
Absolutely. So before you go, Princeton was the first football team to play. Like being a part of like a historic game like that, right? 150 years only comes one time, right?
Correct.
And how does it feel to be a part of something that's way bigger than yourself, way bigger than the generations to come that'll come after you?
Yeah, it was great. I think that year they were actually celebrating Dartmouth's 250th year of operation or of education. So not only 150 years for college football, Princeton went all out on it. They had their throwback uniforms and everything. And just like in their first game when they played Rutgers, they got smoked. They got smoked versus Dartmouth.
History repeats itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say my favorite stadium playing was TCU. This was when I was at SMU. So it's crosstown rivals. It's for the Iron Skillet.
There you go.
And we hadn't won in a while. And we had a really good team 2019. We had Shane Buechele, Rasheed Rice, James Prochet on the offensive side, and then the defensive side was stacked as well. But
Was Tanner Mordecai the quarterback?
no, that was 2 years after I think that Mordecai came. But it was my 6th year, and I grew up in Arlington, so I'm in between Fort Worth, TCU, and Dallas, SMU. And so I kind of had always gone for TCU, but now that I was at SMU, of course I'm all SMU and going for it. And so it was really cool to play in that game. And I don't know if you know the setup, but behind the visitors' stands is the student section. And so your coach is talking to you like this close, and there's people just yelling stuff, calling you every name under the sun.
Sure.
And I'm just like, I can't hear what this guy's saying. Yeah. And we had to have like towels to hide play calls and stuff like that. But that stadium was electric, and then it was a really close game. We ended up coming out with it. Got the Iron Skillet. That thing's the actual skillet. It's like 20 pounds. I'll have to show you that picture later, but it's a huge skillet, and to be able to do that in Fort Worth against TCU or crosstown rivals was huge. And electric.
Absolutely. So let it be known, we are in Fort Worth, Texas. We are in Funky Town. We are 10 to 15 minutes from TCU Stadium. So it's like super cool. There's definitely a synergy there. Did you get to play with Rock Azadi?
No, I didn't get to play with him. I got no, I didn't.
No, because I know they won the Iron Skillet whenever he was playing, and he was the first person that I was able to do a podcast with. He's the episode 1. And shout out Rock Azadi. He's a great artist, and dude's just a figure in Dallas. But man, go ahead.
I think I spoke on it earlier, but the Ivy League is not known for game attendance, game environment.
Sure.
I mean, anything in college. There's more kids in the library than there are in the stadium on Saturdays. It's like, hey,
Yeah, look at the average GPA.
So we didn't really have that too much in the Ivy League, but when I played pro ball, Lambeau is electric. I mean, if you ever get a chance, you should go. It's a bucket list for any football fan. But we came down and played the Cowboys the playoffs in 2016, Dak and Zeke's rookie year, and that was really special because we grew up in Arlington. 10, 15 minutes from the stadium, and I was able to get the family tickets, and they were brave enough to walk in Packers gear, but they talk about the Cowboys fans as not being loud sometimes. That was not the case in the playoffs. They had these fire things that shoot off, and you can feel them from
the heat.
On the other sideline, the upper deck everywhere, and it was rocking. that game. We
Nice.
got off to a lead and won on a field goal thanks to Jared Cook catch. Great throw. But that was really special coming back to Arlington and playing that and being a part of that.
Absolutely. So it's on record that Lambeau Field is better than Jerry's World.
It is, yeah.
All right, Jerry, you're up. I know they got like $50 million worth of renovations coming, so or more, who knows. So I'm going to go all the way back to high school at All Saints and what is it, Christian Prep? No, Grace Prep. Sorry. Rookie move right here.
GPA.
Yeah, my GPA at All Saints was not fire. Yeah, I guess I had other things on my mind. I don't think the whole family dynamic, I'd be the one who was like in their room all the time and getting dunked on. But I am going to bring up one of these jerseys here. So, Sean Adams, if you're watching this, so sorry, brother. So this is the PTF. This is the varsity jersey. Don't know how I got it, but if you want to speak on kind of, I guess I'll say part of the story. So Sean Adams, whose son is Kendall Adams, who was a phenomenal football player. Mm-hmm. I came the last 2 years, and it's picture day, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, right? So he's like, come prepared for picture day, look your best, shave, wash your body, do not change your appearance, right? Come as you are, come as you would be in practice. And I took it upon myself for that day to get cornrows.
I remember this. I
did not know where that was going.
Yeah, so I got cornrows. I grew out my hair. I knew what I was doing. I definitely planned this. I had to put a little bit of like a weave in there to like make it all go together. Yeah. So, Sean hasn't seen me all day. Coach Adams hasn't seen me all day. I've been basically hiding from him at that point because I'm pretty scared. And we're getting ready for pictures and everything, and I walk out with my cornrows, and like, it's like brand new cornrows, so like my scalp is like as white as anything ever. And the look on his face and the team just like over there ostracizing me because they're like, we didn't tell him to do it, right? So he was so upset with me, and the team wanted to like laugh and carry on, but like they wanted PT, playing time. So they were like, I don't know, yeah, that looks ridiculous. And I looked ridiculous. Honestly, I couldn't keep them on for longer than a week. My hair was hurting, and I was doing this right here. Just not my vibe. But
we need to see a picture of this.
Yeah, we need a picture.
No, I'll pop up a picture. I post it every now and again on Snapchat. People get it's in the yearbook. It's in the yearbook. Yeah. I think that's majority. Yeah, I didn't even make it the full season that year. My senior year, I like quit after 8 games or something. Yeah, it just didn't work. But I think that's one of the reasons that's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah. But Big Mike and I'm a big Kobe fan. And the Lakers were hot garbage at the time. So when we had like nobody, it was all like young Julius, young Brandon, young D'Angelo Russell. But I would always be the personality on the team. Wasn't the greatest on the team, but I definitely was like a personality and would like get everybody like laughing in practice when they shouldn't be. And so I would call him Shaq. So Kobe Shaq whenever Grayson would get 8 minutes in a game. But I just think it's absolutely like full circle that we're all able to kind of get back, and I get to meet you guys because you guys really are an extension of each other, and the camaraderie and the brotherhood that I created in that short time. I know we were cutting up, and we were legitimately kids, right? I don't think I'd get cornrows now, but yeah, if you just want to speak on and Grace Prep, the culture of All Saints. And just like the brothership that you've had and the connections that really do come out of that, and especially with Coach Beck, the Nick Saban of Texas private school football.
Oh yeah. So at All Saints, I remember when we first went to visit Coach Beck. He gave us this video of "Protect the Family," and it was a story of the 2008 football team that went on to beat, I think, Trinity Valley in the state game, and that was sort of the turning of the tide to when they started to build the football powerhouse at All Saints. And so that motto sort of always stuck with us. And as close of a family as we are, that protect the family sort of attracted us to All Saints. And sort of the relationships that we built there were really good. And I still keep up with a lot of those guys. But we had some fun times, man.
Yeah, Sonic run.
The Sonic runs to JV basketball right pregame, but probably not the best.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm like killing you right now, but we I don't know what we were doing. Frankly, we would pack 8 people in a car that's supposed to spit like 4, and we would go to Sonic and we would eat like buffalo wings and corn dogs and like slushies and mozzarella sticks. Like I kid you not, Mike would have like chocolate on his face while warming up because he just finished like a Snicker blizzard. Dude,
I remember that it was one time because like the game started earlier than we thought or something, and so we were running back from Sonic, and I still had to finish this blizzard or whatever.
He just said he had to finish it.
I mean, it was gonna melt. That ice cream melts quickly, so I had to finish it real quick. And then we're in layup lines. I think Coach Hall, the assistant, was like, "Yo, I think you got something." And I was like, "I'm so sorry, Coach. I don't know what we were thinking."
I'm full though. Yeah.
So just talking a little bit on the culture and stuff, we always had fun at All Saints.
Yeah.
And we're all brothers, and we all love to cut it up. And so Michael got his nickname from actual basketball season, and I think you were on the bench with us. So
yeah.
it was my junior year, his sophomore year, and I was hurt. And so we didn't have any big guys then. And we were sitting at the end of the bench, and Mike was at the end of the bench with his best friend. And we were getting killed on the boards, right? Like, we could not get an offensive rebound, defensive rebound. If it hit the rim, we weren't getting it, right? And so his best friend, Easton, goes to him, and he's like, "Hey, we need some beef in there." And he slaps my brother's back as hard as possible. And the sound that it made was like a whole brisket hitting the floor like this. And then everyone stands still, and they turn to each other, and they're like, "Beef!" And so from that point on, Michael's nickname in high school and college was Beef.
Yes, I remember that.
You had to slap.
And you went off though. You went off.
Oh yeah.
Like I was like, I feel scared for these white private school boys trying to grab this board right now because
I was a football player playing basketball, and I can't tell you how many technical fouls I had.
I was rooting for a technical. I was like, dude, do it again.
I mean, if they had an over-under for how many I was going to get, I think everybody would have slammed the over.
Oh, my gosh. I remember you got like a rebound, and then like his coach told you to grab the rebound like this and kind of like, get people back. Bro, I saw some kid catch an elbow. Buddy's like easily like 130. I don't know how he got on varsity, but he got popped in the jaw, and I didn't see him the next year like playing basketball. He just quit playing, and I get it. I think
he hung it up.
Hey, I'm always taking the coaching, man. I just might take it to another level though.
No, for real. So, speaking of nicknames, you guys have nicknames. You call each other nicknames that you kind of get from each other, or he's the only guy that got beef?
Yeah, I got JP, but my mom hates when people call me JP.
Yeah, she wants the full name. I called you John Paul. You better people call you John Paul, right? Is that what she says?
Yeah. Charlie is Chuck.
They call me Chuck.
Our
like
dad's
Chuck
Charlie the third.
Yeah, so he's the first boy, but I got the namesake Charlie. Charlie Flores the fourth.
Right.
So they call me Chuck because they call my dad
Charlie.
Dad or Charlie sometimes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What is the crazy thing that you've heard from a coach, like, to try to get motivation from a player? I mean, I've heard some wild stuff, and I'm not even college ball.
I think one of the go-tos in college football coaching is whenever they sit down their room and they'll be like, they either had a terrible practice or something, and the coach tries to motivate the players by telling them that if they don't perform, then they're going to get fired, and then their kids and their family are going to go hungry. That their play will directly impact their kids starving to death. I think that's a coaching go-to.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that, like, all around?
I never heard that one, but we were lifting one time, and I think some people on the other, it was a big lifting room, people on the other side were missing reps or something. And the strength coach got up, and he said, he turned off the music. You usually have the music blasting. And he turned off the music. He said,
Oh, no.
he said, that workout was abortion. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Bombardment.
I was just like, just shell shocked. I was just like,
Yeah, Sean Adams did, like, 9/11. I don't even know if we can put this in, but he did like a 9/11 thing. He's like, "Y'all need to be the Twin Towers," and I was like, "That guy to be like, they're not even hearing that." Shut up.
I think one of the most heinous things a coach ever said, it wasn't to me personally, but another kid. He was starting, I won't say the college or the coach, but this kid had a bad game the week before. And so Monday comes around and we have practice, and he's late to practice. And coach checks his watch. He's like, he's 2 minutes late. That MFer better be face down dead in a ditch.
So, did he ever miss any practices after that?
He did not.
Yeah, I've heard stories. I've heard people. I interviewed Travis West and John Burt, and it was like pouring rain in Austin, and like some guy didn't show up for workouts. They made the whole team run to his dorm and bang on his door. Yeah.
jeez.
Come to find out, he was obviously sleeping, but
I have two other ones
Go.
that coach would say. Coach,
I'm afraid.
one of the, I won't tell the coach. One of the ones that cut deep is, it's not your fault. I recruited you. That's when you miss a block or whatever. You just don't have that talent and to be able to make the block or whatever. And the other one they would always say, this other coach would say, is Flores, is it you can't or you won't? And the first time I heard it, I was like, won't? wait. I think won't's better because it's a no-win situation in that part.
Failure. At that point. Is there anything that you've heard in like your pro?
I must have blocked them all out.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think high school was the hardest you get coached or the hardest workouts. College is a little more chill, and then the pro, it's like, hey guys, like if you don't want to do what I'm saying, that's fine. We'll cut you and find someone else. Damn. I had a roommate. I mean, they put us in queen beds up at a hotel in Green Bay. I had a roommate one morning, and then he wasn't doing what he needed to do, and by that afternoon there was someone else sleeping in that bed. So it's just that cutthroat. So
my goodness.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, in college you're kind of stuck with the kids, or in high school you're stuck with them. In the pros.
Come and go. You got to grind.
Not for long.
No. So, did you get represented by an agency, or how did you go about that?
Yeah, I had an agent from Dartmouth, and then some of it you've got to run good times at your pro day and your combine, and then let's see, and then the Packers called right after the draft and signed me as an undrafted free agent. So it's kind of sad. Like once you get cut and I got injured. You like try to blame it on your agent when it's like, wait, you can't perform anymore.
Yeah.
And he wasn't at a point where I could kick set anymore without meniscus. So you try to switch agents, but everyone just stays younger. I mean,
yeah,
there's a whole new group coming out of college every year. So
absolutely. Is there anything that you can say to up and coming? I'm going to ask everybody this: up and coming players, whether they're in college or they're getting prepping to get drafted, something that you wish somebody told you, or something that they're gonna experience and should be aware of?
Yeah, I think anything is networking, right? Because at some point you're done with football, you need to get a job, or let's say you're even trying to get recruited out of high school to college. If you're not talking to the coaches, there's a million kids that show up to the camp that are on Twitter. You have to like advocate for yourself and become good at networking. And it's the same way in the real world. Like you have to know someone nowadays to get a job. Same way in the NFL, your agent has to be connected, or you have to put yourself out there. But it's definitely who you know, because everyone's very similar coming out of college.
Absolutely.
Advice for high schoolers. I might get a lot of hate for this, and we've talked about this, is do not go to college camps. They have these 1 or 2 day camps, and coaches will invite you or whatever and say, oh, there's an offer there. They will not give you an offer.
It's just competition.
Honestly, it's just a paycheck for them, because it's like a $50 camp, and then it's a waste of your resources. You waste a whole day going there, and hotels and all that stuff. Do not do that. There's a lot better ways you can spend that day, getting better in the weight room, basically anything else but going to those camps.
Yeah,
because it's, at the end of the day, there's 400 kids probably at these camps. They're not going to be evaluate all those people.
Yeah.
And if they don't already have their eye on you, you're not just going to show up and
wow somebody.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that football and sports in general is kind of a microcosm for life. It's kind of what you get out of sports and football. One of the best lessons I learned in my life was at Dartmouth, the late great Coach Stevens. He had this thing called tea time. So tea time meant that if a meeting started at 10, it really started at 9:55. And he could always start the meeting early, so he could start at 9:53, which meant you had to be 10 minutes early to everything. And so that little lesson of always being on time, always being early in case an emergency happens, you never know, it can help you later on in life with if you're in a job interview or any little key thing in life, about always being on time or always being early. And then you go into the work ethic that football teaches you, the adversity, overcoming obstacles. So I would really say that it's the lessons you get for football, because eventually football is going to end. You got to learn those lessons and take them on to life after.
Yeah,
sport.
apply it to real life. And like I said in the beginning, real life is entered college sports. And if you don't take that seriously, don't expect to take life seriously. And then we all know the consequences. And I think consequences have a negative connotation to them, but there are good consequences and there's negative consequences. But you always hear the word consequence, you're like, oh, I'm in trouble. But no, there's good consequences. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would definitely say that to prioritize your body is something that Jacob taught us, because your body and sports is what is the product. So if you're putting in the wrong things, making the wrong choices, it's going to reflect on the football field. Unless you're a stud, like you said, you got to prioritize what you're eating. And the other thing is that you might think that you can go out and party and the coaches won't know, but people talk. And that was one thing that we found out in college, is that the coaches know exactly what you're doing at all times. So
they can smell it on you.
Yeah, you're under surveillance, man.
Yeah, you talk about smelling. So there'd be a lift. So you play on Saturday and Sunday. You come in, stretch, lift, and then watch film of the game or prepare for the next week. And the worst smell in my entire life was those weightlifting sessions, because everybody goes out Saturday night, or most people go out Saturday night, and it's the one day you're able to drink, because then you can't drink during the week, or you shouldn't drink during the week. And so those lift sessions, it just smelled like straight hand sanitizer.
Everybody's sweating out those toxins.
Everybody was sweating out those toxins.
Now, just to reemphasize what Mike said, your body is the product. So, like, how much sleep you get, what type of supplements, what you're eating, that's what you're selling. I mean, that's what you're trying to develop as a high schooler. that's what colleges are buying. That's what pro teams are buying, is your ability, and that's directly correlated to, are you doing drugs? Are you drinking a lot? Are you not sleeping? Are you taking Adderall? Like, all those things affect your body, which is what is the end product in football.
Yeah, it's gonna affect your performance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's go on record, and Big Mike is no longer doing slushies and blizzards and all that. He's gotten better.
Yeah, more of the Snickers blizzards. Absolutely not.
Well, I'm going to wrap up here. This is Now It's Legal podcast with the Flores Brothers. I'm going to give a chance for every single one of them to tell them what they got going on and if they have any last words to say. Here you go, guys.
So you can catch me. I'll be starting on the offensive line at Old Dominion this year. So tune into our games, playing the Sun Belt, and we're looking to bring the championship back to Norfolk this year.
Yes, sir. I'll be at Liberty University, number 6'7", playing at left guard. Go Flames, and we're trying to make college football playoff.
Yep. So when I'm not working in medical device sales here in DFW, I'm a private football trainer. So I coach wide receivers, defensive backs, offensive, defensive linemen, and quarterbacks. So look me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I'm in medical sales, but also do a lot of trainings on the weekends. We have a website called Trench U DFW. We do one-on-ones. We do group sessions. We help kids get recruited. We've probably put 30, 40 kids at D1 by now, and we've been doing it for about 5 years, and it's rewarding. It's the same stuff we're saying on this podcast, but it's up to the kids to do it, and that's the main takeaway. And it keeps me connected to football, which is fun to see kids develop and grow just like we did and just like I did.
Absolutely. So this is Now It's Legal podcast, an acronym for name, image, likeness. Name, image, likeness doesn't mean be great at the sport. It means be great at your name, your image, and your branding. Guys, Flores Brothers, thank you guys so much for coming on. We have great stories. This goes all the way back to high school, and it was such a treat. And I appreciate you guys putting aside the time. It was great to get all four of you here at once, which is a blessing. And I wish the best for you guys in the next season. And you guys, moving forward in medical sales and coaching, kudos to both of you. I'm excited for what you guys got going. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Grayson.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome.